Gentlemen, in this virtual lesson, I'll try to cover different very important aspects of a story. In fact, today I want to discuss the structure of a story, how story is built, and that's very important from two different viewpoints. I'll be working simultaneously on a Google Doc and Paint. Why? Because I have jotted down certain points. I'll have to look at them. But the explanation I can better give you in Paint. So we'll be working on both these apps together or one after the other.
Yeah, that.
Walaikum salam. Let us find out some essential, very important components of a story. Essential components of a story. Essential components of a story. Okay. And I was talking to a couple of boys who were present before the new arrival that there are certain reasons for which you know them or you should know them. And what are those reasons? For example, the first reason is uh, as a reader, and the second situation is as a writer. Both these situations are very important for you to remember. For example, as a reader, you must know what are the important components of the story which you are reading so that you may easily understand the story. Let me underline the word components. Why? Because my most of the lesson today will revolve around these components. Okay. And as a writer, since you are first year boys and in board exams you're going to write stories or letters, whatever you think you can better do, and therefore it's very important to know these components as a writer. Okay. And I'm sure you're comfortable with my voice. Is it so?
Yes, sir.
And the screen is visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Let's go ahead and have a look at those components one by one. Let's begin with, let's just go through them, this list, and then I'll explain each term written on the screen. And finally, let me make them slightly bigger so they may stand out for you. Okay, okay. This one is fine. Important components of a story. First of all, we have theme, and let's go back to paint and figure out exactly what exactly a theme is and how important a theme is for you. Okay, theme. What is a theme? Theme, in fact, is the idea which you want to convey in a story. The idea you want to convey in a story is your theme. Okay. The idea on which you build your story is theme. Okay. Now, after that, let's go back to the story button and try to figure out the theme. We have shortly discussed it, and we can go ahead and see in button's perspective the theme. Okay, one very simple and well known theme which is interwoven in the story is greedy curse. Greedy curse. This can be one of the themes. Okay. And let me tell you, theme comes always first. The story is written literal. Maybe there is a person who doesn't follow this very natural pattern and he starts writing. But how can you start writing without understanding what you are going to write? Of course, you need to get an idea on which you are going to work. Okay, that's very important. And I would like you to give me one more theme from the story, just for practice. What can be another theme of the story?
Tit for tat, sir.
Tit for tat?
Yes, sir.
Okay, or as you sow, so shall you.
Reap.
Okay, this can be very close. Why? Because when once you are looking for the trouble would be over there for you. Okay, and the second one is as you sow, so shall you reap. This can be another smart theme of the story. Now, let me tell you all the writers in of the world. This can be a generalized statement, but I can make it for your understanding. All the writers in the world, they in fact have one thing unique, and that unique thing in their personalities is that unique idea in their personalities is basically their strong ideas. The most powerful thing in the world are ideas. Well, because all stories, all inventions, even all discoveries, they they are because of very strong will and strong ideas of people. They have these strong ideas, and the idea always comes first. If you read Hemingway was a very good, well-known American novelist, and his book, his novel, his short novel, The Old Man and the Sea, for which he was awarded with Nobel Prize. He almost for say from 7 to 10 or to 15 years before he wrote the book, he said that he had the idea, but that was the idea was in raw form, and it was not quite ready to be cultivated in the form of a novel. So people, they have ideas and they keep waiting for the time till the ideas become rich and they turn into complete stories. In the beginning, there is an ambiguity and they cannot work on those ideas very clearly. How many of you have got the idea what exactly theme is and you are comfortable with it?
Please explain again, sir.
What theme or
Yes,
Hemingway's
sir.
example? Theme. You
Theme, sir.
have recently joined?
Yes, sir.
Okay, theme basically is the central idea on which the whole story is built. That is your theme. And then we have discussed at least two themes from Button. One is Greedy's curse, and second is as you sow, so shall you reap. My idea of a theme is that theme is an idea on which the whole story is built. Okay, got the idea?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, fine. Let's
Yes,
go
sir.
back now to our main chart, and we are done with the theme. And the second thing is setting, and what setting exactly is. When you talk about setting, let me write it. Uh, what about what about red? Red can be a good color here. Setting. Setting, in fact, tells you it it tells you it tells where the story took place or takes place and its time period. Why is it so important? It is important. Why? Because your many things depend on the setting. For example, you you say that your story takes place at the time when Muslims were struggling for an independent country in the United India. Now here, your setting will determine what kind of robes your characters wear, what kind of food they eat, what kind of facilities they enjoy. Let me write a couple of these things. These are very, very important. And I'll urge each one of you to take short notes of these things. They can help you throughout your life. This is not all about button. Learning the structure of story is so important for your life because this structure is universally known. These are the factors which story writers keep always in their minds, naturally, directly, or indirectly. Setting helps you. Okay, what it helps you? Helps you determine a couple of things. What are those things? Let me enlist them. Robes. Robes mean dresses. And what else? Buildings. Why buildings? Why? Because when you say I'm writing a story of the which took place in 18th century, in 1800 something, buildings will be different from the buildings today. You'll have to go back and see the things. Okay. Therefore, the people who have spent some time in 18th century would be able to write better about that, you know, century. And those, and mostly people, they, or if you have read history, you can go ahead and you can carve your characters. But it would be very difficult that if you don't know history and you have not lived in a time and you start writing the story, and it may not be very inviting to those people who know the facts and they say that it is completely a different kind of story. Maybe they're not attracted. So robes, buildings, and then customs. Customs are very important. And after customs, food. food, even food. And what about other things? Furniture, even vehicles. Okay. All these things in a certain time were different from another time. Maybe you write the story uh, of this century, and an old person who is living in a village, he gets the book and he reads your story. It will be maybe it will be very, very inviting to the person because of technology, because of fast communication, because of you know up to dateness of the world, because of fast travel, and it can be at the same time catastrophic because of the habits, because of diseases, because of selfish attitude and materialistic viewpoint of a modern man. It can be, it can convey so many things to another person. Now let me go to the text and relate the setting, how setting and where setting is present in the story, button. And I'd like to go back to the first page of the story, and I'd like to read a couple of lines for you to relate those lines to setting. The package was lying by the front door, a cube-shaped carton sealed with tape. Their name and address printed by hand, Mr. and Mrs. Arthur Lewis, 217E, 37th Street, New York, New York, 10016. New York, okay, 37th Street. Now, this is a short story. In here, New York, a state of the US, that indicates that that's the most populous place. So many people. In 2018, perhaps more than 20 million people were living over there. And now it's not all about that you start telling about the furniture, the robes, the buildings. Only telling the time for many people reflects many other things. And they understand what kind of, state it would be in a certain period of time. So therefore, setting is present in the story. I hope it's clear.
Yes,
Is it
sir.
clear? Is it clear to you?
The question is,
Okay, I'll urge each one of you to be with me, since I cannot see your private computers, what you are up to over there. Please close all other screens, chat rooms, things like that. Your all focus should be on the lesson, okay?
sir, excuse me, sir.
And let me relate here, teacher, to Rain. Sheikh Sadi, who is a Persian who was basically, but we since he's still known by so many literature loving people, so we can use this. But basically, Sheikh Sadi has passed away. Uh, Sheikh Sadi is of the view that teachers, scholars, and those people who impart knowledge, they are just like rain. Even you can call parents like rain. And he says that rain in itself is pure and tries to shower on all the pieces of earth wherever it rains equally. But then it depends that what kind of land the rain pours in or showers on. If the land is fertile, it gives birth to flowers and other things. If the land is, barren, it will only uh, it will only let thorns and cactus and things like that to grow. So here the idea is that knowledge is pure. It's for everybody, but some people embrace it, and there are others who refrain from embracing knowledge. And no one can teach a person who is not ready to learn anything. Plot. This is the third important
Sir,
component of
sir,
story. Yes.
Sir, I have a question, sir. The setting can be limited, means like 2 or 3 places for
Please
the
speak
story.
loud.
Sir,
Get your mouth closer to the mic.
sir, I am asking that can the setting be limited, means the story take place in only 2 or 3 places,
Story takes place in.
only limited places, limited settings.
There is no one formula uh, which the storytellers adopt. It can be just a single room, it can be bedroom, it can be drawing room, it can be marketplace, it can be even swimming pool. Okay, so setting basically tells you what kind of land all around is and what kind of buildings are there, what kind of room that is, what kind of shop or bazaar that is. So here it has no limitation. It can be as vast as the whole world if the story encompasses World War One or two, and it can be as short as a village or a village home. I hope it answers the question.
Yes, sir.
Let's go ahead. Now we have plot. Plot, what exactly plot is? Let us first of all define it and then go ahead. Our third component is plot. Is it third one? Okay,
Yes,
third
yes.
component. Plot. And what is plot? Plot basically means series of incidents. Incidents. Series of incidents is called plot. Now, if you want to understand plot, you can go back to story, to the story button. And first of all, you see that in the story, you have one character, and that character is Noma. And Noma enters home, and then you understand that they have something like oven or kitchen cooking range or something like where she is preparing dinner. That's the beginning. Okay, and then there is a package which they get, and then afterwards the second incident after the setting is the first incident is uh, we can call it uh, the arrival of Mr. Stewart. The arrival of Mr. Stewart is the second incident and his offer. Okay. And the third important, sequence or third important event is, uh, let me write C, and that goes like the beginning, a conflict, beginning of conflict in terms of a dialogue. In terms of a dialogue, and what is the dialogue between? The dialogue is between Arthur and Mrs. Arthur. Okay, and it continues. Now this story uh, has a strong dialogue and continuous dialogue. Some of the stories you will find where characters move out and in so much. And there are other stories where characters don't go out. Characters stay most of the time at a place, but they keep talking. And the story is developed through their talk. Now, let me explain it. And let me say one more thing. I will not be able to analyze and dissect each and every story for you. But this is the first story, so therefore I thought that it would be a good idea to elaborate the essential points of a story with reference to button. But otherwise, we'll be simply reading the story, discussing the main characters, doing the exercise, and that would be all. Now here you see if you see the conflict here, but let me stop it here. And once the conflict point comes, I will again come to conflict and finish it. In beginning of conflict in terms of a dialogue, and next point can be when difference of opinion of opinion. Some of you may ask me how you can say that this is a separate incident. It is a separate incident in discussion because in the beginning the discussion is neutral, then the discussion, the opinion is divided between parties. One party is Norma, the other is Arthur Lewis. Arthur Lewis doesn't want to take this offer. Norma wants to take this offer, and therefore there is a difference of opinion. That is D part. Okay. Once there is a difference of opinion, and finally you see that it continues for some time, and finally D after D comes E, and then that's a solo decision taken by one character, that is Norma, and F, E, and F. F is accident. That is basically Arthur meets this accident, F, and then we have a G part where Norma receives the call. H is where she gets hysterical, and I in the last part is realization. Last part is realization of the truth. So these are some of the series of incidents with which the plot of the story has been knit. I would like each one of you to go through it for at least 30 seconds and keep these points. You can take notes if you want. I will urge you to take notes, but at least you should read them for 30 seconds. And the word is here, she gets hysterical. So I have written get, but correct. It will be correct only when you say she gets hysterical. Okay. She gets hysterical. So let me correct it with What is this? What about this pencil? So here it becomes, let me change the color. What about yellow? She gets, it's very difficult to write with it.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes.
she gets hysterical. Okay, and let me draw a line as well here. And this is a mistake. So fine. Now, how many of you have got an idea of a plot? Okay, and who will tell me what plot is? What is a plot?
Sir, we can say plot is a series of small incidents with which the in which whole story is arranged in a perfect sequence.
Yes, you're right, Uzair. Thank you for your answer.
Sir,
It's
plot is a type of outline of the story.
Yes, in other words, Afaq is fine. He's right. Both of the gentlemen, they have correctly defined it. That plot, in fact, is the structure which tells which incident will be the first one and which one will be the last one. Okay. Now, let's go quickly forward in characters. Okay. Uh, in the story, we have three characters. 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 And we have in the story three characters. Three characters. And I would not name them. I have taught you uh, almost 2 weeks the same thing. Oh, it would be just, it wouldn't be necessary. But I can name them. One is Norma, and the second is Arthur Lewis. The third one is Mr.
Stewart.
Stewart, and that's it. But today I don't want to tell you the names of the characters. I want to discuss with you some important uh, characteristics of the word character. The characters in novels and stories have been divided into two major categories. Two major categories. Two major categories. Okay. First one is round characters, and the second one is flat characters. Now here round characters. Round characters are those characters who do not change with time. Round characters, they don't change. Okay. Uh, Let us underline round characters. And what about red? Round characters don't. Round characters change with the time. They keep changing. Okay. And let me define what changing basically is. Round characters, they change. What about white color? Can be a good color. They change in the story. Okay. And mostly change is a positive change. Okay? When you call change, change is positive. And it's a positive change. Okay. And flat characters. The other characters we have are flat characters. Flat characters. And flat characters, what exactly their case is, they remain very same as they were in the beginning. Okay, they don't change. And here I will relate it to your practical life as well very soon. They let me take white color again. They don't change with time. They don't change with time. Now, here mostly people, uh, especially here in our college, sometimes boys ask me this question, and in one way or the other, maybe they have not directly asked the question, which I am again going to discuss. But similar things are heard that one person is being given this thing and I'm not being given this thing. Mostly when it comes to appointments, many people are disappointed later on. Now, you don't know why, because many of you are new students and you don't know much about me. Being a student of psychology, I've learned different things and attitudes of people. Uh, what exactly I'll tell you about it is that round and flat characters are not only just terms. These are this is a realistic division of people, uh, those who are partially round and those who are fully round and those who are flat characters. Okay. Now, what exactly happens in real life? Round characters, they learn things first, and after learning, they don't stick to their learning. Whenever there is a change, they can change themselves. For example, you know a person who is a carpenter, and he was carpenter or he has been carpenter for the last 20 years, and he has worked all the time with very simple tools. But in this 20 years time, tools have changed, machines have replaced hand tools, and carpenter senses this change and he upgrades his workshop, buys new tools, gets training, and is an up-to-date carpenter. Now, I will call such a carpenter a round character. On the other hand, there is another person who has worked, who has a very similar situation as I described to you, the first one, but doesn't change with time and keeps those tools. And there are measuring instruments which he has not learned, and he sticks too much to the past. Maybe he will be at a disadvantage because of his behavior. Now, here in the story, my question is Norma a flat character or a round character?
Flat.
Who says flat and who says round? First of all, I'd like all those all those to tell me who vote that Norma is a flat character?
I vote, sir.
I vote, sir.
Yes, sir,
Okay,
flat character.
a flat character.
Yes.
Okay. Is there anybody who says that Norma is a round character?
Sir. Yes, sir.
Is there anyone?
Yes, sir.
Ali
And
Hassi, you
Norma is
say
around that.
is a round character. Can you say something on it? How Norma is a round character?
Sir, she changes her moral values to kill someone.
Please get closer to your mic, and you will have to use some force as well, because very low tone I can hear, which I cannot completely understand.
Sir, you said that round character is the one who changes itself. So the Norma changes her values and kill somebody in the world.
Okay, a round character changes for positive things. Round character changes for positive things, and as far as Norma is concerned, Norma tries to interpret reality in a different way. Okay, she has not changed anything. She wants to change the interpretation of reality in a different way in order to get money. Okay, when she tells Arthur that it may be some Chinese peasant hundreds of miles away from the US, and then she says some character in Congo, African area, African state. Now, what exactly the case is? In both the situations, she wants to kill, and therefore she doesn't change. The only reason which you have sensed as a change by a mistake, that is not a change, that is an argument to which she has stubbornly given in order not to change from her stance. Okay? So this is not a change, but she's stubborn and she's giving arguments and she sticks to her point. I will not call it a change, so please re-evaluate it. Okay. Is Arthur a round character?
Sir, he is a flat character.
No, sir.
Flat
He's
character.
flat character.
Flat, sir.
Flat character. Okay. How Arthur is a flat character?
In the
Sir,
start of the
because
story, sir, he has the view that Norma should not take this decision and should ignore this box or this opportunity.
Okay. So, how will you term Arthur as a flat character? This is my question.
So because
Sir,
his mindset and his basically his decision remains firm from the start of the story till the end.
Okay. Fine. Well, now let me go slightly deep in the story, and let me draw Arthur for a while here. Okay, I have Arthur here, a small Arthur. Okay, white Arthur. Okay, what exactly? This is our character. This is perhaps the only sketch I have learned to draw, and all the time when I teach, I have this small sketch to work. But anyways, it's not all about we. We are not concerned with the drawing. Okay, we are more concerned with the character. And then we have well, and one more thing I have here, a white line, perhaps yellow line, which I will draw here straight. One, And then I have another one very close. Okay. And then what exactly I'll do for you, I'll select Arthur. And copy it. I paste Arthur again, and Arthur is here now. Okay. And then I'll have another. No, I'll take this one. And this time I have a green line. Stay with me. There is an interesting thing which we are going to discover. Okay. And after that, I have another Arthur. Okay. I placed it here again. And this time, I have a red hot line. Okay. And then you have, one more character here. Now my question is from all of you, are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Well, this is at least some part of the story which I have tried to develop here. Okay. Here in the beginning, how much pressure Arthur has to bear to push the button? The first Arthur in the beginning. The pressure is less or more?
Less, sir.
Less, sir.
It has the pressure
Less,
on Arthur to push the button is less from her family, from his family. So, fine? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And as the story builds with the passage of time, Arthur passes successfully this first barrier and he says that he won't push the button since it's immoral. Okay. At the second stage, is the pressure decreasing or increasing?
Increasing, sir.
Increasing.
Pressure is increasing. In order to bear more pressure or face the brunt of pressure, more energy and more will is required. Is it so?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
sir.
Okay. Now jump the author to the next stage. Let's take Arthur from this place to this place and at something like that. We are done. No. We are not done. Okay. Let's take the Arthur here. Okay, something like that. Anyways, I have taken Arthur from one position to another position. When the third stage arrives, when she is giving examples and that they would have a nice flat and things like that, I personally believe he has more pressure. He's under more pressure. Is it so?
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
finally, he is in such a pressure that he leaves for his office without further argument. Okay? Now, leaving his home, leaving Norma, leaving everything behind just because you cannot change the situation and it's better to separate yourself from the situation. So that is the last stage where Arthur leaves the place. Now, symbolically, Arthur's leaving the place indicates that Arthur has isolated himself from such a bad circumstance or such a bad person or a situation because he believes that he is unable to tackle the situation and therefore he doesn't want to become a part of the situation. And let me tell you, I personally believe that from each stage to another stage, Arthur has more developed his morality. Story is not all the time that you change the color and you are around character. It's the story is all about a discussion, and the conflict is inner conflict. It is not a physical conflict which you can see on the screen. Okay, and here when you find the last stage, in the last stage, Arthur is standing at the tower of morality, and he still, despite a lot of pressure on him, he still feels that he should not push the button. He has developed himself through these difficulties. In each stage, when he comes successfully from each stage, he's a different person. For example, uh, you you come as a junior cadet in grade 8, so you put on the same uniform, slightly different, and you go on, but nobody can say that after 5 years you are the same person as you entered the college. Okay, when you go through different difficulties, you keep changing, and the change is inward. And this is what I want to teach you, that in literature you will not find always wars, wounds, things like that. You will find sometimes that there is only a debate on a cup of coffee, but both the characters are growing. Okay, inward change is also a change which you need to sense. How many of you have got the idea? Have you got this idea?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now,
Yes, sir.
quickly, I will come to the conflict. I have already told you that conflict is when you face some opposing ideas, and conflict can be seen here in all these stages. Conflict is when opinions are different, there is a conflict. When objectives are different, there is a conflict. When aims are different, there is a conflict. Okay, I hope it makes sense. I'm basically running short of time and I need to cover everything. Now, here, climax. Uh, what is the climax of this story? Yes. Just give me in one line its answer.
Sir,
Which
Norma
part of
pushing the
the
button.
story? What, please? Can you say it
Sir,
again?
sir, Norma pushing the button.
Okay, Norma pushes the button is the climax of the story. Climax is the highest point, okay, in the story. How many of
Sir,
you agree that pushing the button can be termed as the climax of the story?
no, no, sir.
I agree, sir.
Sir, when she receives the call that her husband has died, that is, I think, the climax.
Okay, climax basically, let me define it. Maybe I have been unable to say something on the climax. Climax, in fact, is climax is let us take green now. Climax is, you can call it the highest point in the struggle, whether it is internal or external, no matter, the highest point in the struggle. Now, what is the highest point in the struggle? Afaq. Is it pushing the button or is it getting the call?
Getting the call.
Getting the call, okay. Not pushing the button?
No, sir.
Okay. Well, and then what will be anticlimax? Anticlimax when the story moves to the resolution.
That would be the call.
What?
Said the call would be the anticlimax.
Call would be the anticlimax. Okay. And what was the conflict then? On which point there was a conflict?
So when Arthur leaves without having breakfast,
That is the conflict.
yes, that is the highest point where Arthur uh, decides that he will no more argue about it, or he'll just leave the matter.
Okay, let me tell you here one thing, that the conflict was between two ideas. One idea was to push the button, and the other was whether to push the button or not. Okay, that was the basic conflict. And what exactly, Arthur was of the view that they should not push the button. Norma was of the view that they should push the button. And finally, Norma says, for both of us, and he pushes the button. In my viewpoint, that is the climax. And the anticlimax starts when let me get back to my page. Anticlimax starts. Anticlimax is when the incident goes down to a normal situation, when situation is resolving. That is anticlimax when he gets the call, when she gets the call, in fact, from the hospital, that the person has been killed. And a resolution of the story, where the story comes to its resolve, its end, that is the part when Norma realizes that she never ever fully knew her husband. Okay, so that is the evaluation, my evaluation of the story. We are done with the exercise of the story, and we have in detail, almost we took an hour for the analysis of the story. I would like to share this complete video with you in your resources. And if you don't find it over there, you can, I have also given you my YouTube page link. You can go over there. Everything, every grammar item I teach to any section is being updated over there. And if you are interested in learning grammar or anything like that, you can go to YouTube page and easily you can watch any video, okay, of your choice. But I'll also try to give its link in your own resources so that you may watch it over there. But it will be played again from YouTube, whatever you do. Take care of yourself, keep thinking over it. And let me tell you, today I will post your quiz, and Sunday, let me just close it. Sunday will be Sunday. Sunday will be the deadline, okay, to do the quiz. So by Sunday, you are supposed to almost till night. You are supposed to do your test. After that, your grading will be whether you do the test or not. Your grading will be accordingly done accordingly, and there will be no chance to redo it. Okay. Take care of yourself. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you, sir. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz, sir.
Allah
Allah Hafiz, sir.
Allah Hafiz.